Yo, what is up, everybody? It's Resco back again with a new horror story for you guys. This one is titled The Patient, written by Old School Horror. Remember to use the links in the description, show love to the author, like, comment, and subscribe. Chapter 1, Arrival. The aisles of the hospital seem haunted by those who had found their unfortunate end in the building. Despite the good lighting, some darkness was still lingering in the stone, concrete, and steel of the structure. It doesn't matter how much light there is in any place, darkness still finds its way and hides behind it. Relentless, patient, and unforgiving, it is waiting. But for what? It was close to midnight. A relative silence reigned throughout the ward. Only a few coughs and whispers broke it sometimes, and they echoed through the corridors. Clock on the wall behind the reception desk seemed to be dragging. Midnight was an hour even the clocks didn't want to reach. As if clocks had consciousness. Or had they? Who knows how many secrets did the universe have? Time, space, consciousness, and the darkness behind the light. Nurse Carrie Holloway was staring with blank eyes at a crossword puzzle on the desk before her. She was tired. Being on duty during night shift was not exactly her cup of tea. The pay was a little higher, and she was safe from the craziness of the day shift, but she still hated it. Her long brown hair partially covered her face as her head was resting in her palm. A steaming cup of coffee filled the place with an unmistakable smell. Nurse Holloway hated to drink coffee during the night. Made her stomach turn, but it was the only thing which was keeping her somewhat awake. Footsteps were approaching from the corridor to her right. She recognized them. The steps of Dr. David Newman, who was on duty this night. Carrie really didn't like him. A man in his late 30s, married with 2 kids. David always tried to hit on her. He was never overly aggressive, but the good doctor was relentless. Carrie looked up, and the man was a few steps away. He smiled at her, as he always did, but she was not impressed. Dr. Newman was not an ugly man. Something in his eyes compelled Carrie to be cautious. The doctor saw the streaks of sleeplessness under Nurse Holloway's eyes, but he still smiled a lustful smile at her. The smell of tobacco followed the doctor. He might have been out to smoke. "You know," he began after glancing at a cup of coffee, "I can take you to a place where they make coffee. It's 1,000 times better than that. Tomorrow night, maybe." Thanks, but I know a few places myself." "But I bet you don't know this one." "I might actually know it, but why don't you take your wife to coffee?" "Oh, come on, Carrie. You're breaking my heart." "And you're breaking your wife's heart." Dr. Newman raised his hands as if he is giving up, then turned to walk away. The next second, they both heard sirens in the distance. In a few seconds, an old and battered ambulance appeared in the driveway. Both Nurse Holloway and Dr. Newman forgot about their coffee issues and headed to the main entrance where all the emergencies came in. The town being small, there were few emergency personnel in the emergency department. There were only the ones on duty. Of course, there was also Norman, the old security guard, but he was not a medical employee. The ambulance stopped near the entrance, and its back doors open. An ambulance worker jumped down, grabbed the stretcher. The other worker grabbed the other end, and they put it down on the ground. On it, there was an elderly-looking man with a bony, haggard face. Half-dried vomit was shining on his face and neck, also on his dirty shirt. He was mumbling something, but nobody could understand what. What happened to him? Asked Dr. Newman. I don't know. Park ranger found him in the woods. He was in the night patrol. Looks like this old bastard wanted to kill himself. Ranger told us he was mumbling something about taking poison. Shoved his finger inside the man's throat. Make him vomit, you know? But needs his systems cleaned. This hospital was the closest, so we brought him here. As the ambulance workers were pushing the stretcher inside, Nurse Holloway was already preparing the apparatus to clean the man's digestive system. Doing gastric suction was not something new. He did it many times on people who overdosed on pills, booze, who knows what else. As she touched the old man, she noticed flickering around her and instinctively looked up at the ceiling. In the same instant, one of the light bulbs went dead. Strange, she thought, and turned to continue with the procedure. Hope he makes it, said the other worker, a skinny white guy with a big nose. He kept mumbling something about the other side, monsters in the dark, all kinds of weird stuff. Yeah, some crazy shit, man, said the other one. Don't worry, we'll do our best to save him, replied the doctor, as the two men turned to go back to the ambulance. Nurse Holloway inserted a flexible plastic tube in the patient's mouth, down his esophagus. The man gagged, but then the gagging stopped, so the nurse continued. The doctor sprayed saline solution down the tube in order to dissolve the stomach's contents. After that, he started the suction. Nurse Holloway didn't take her hand off the tube and was ready to hold the man down in case he behaved erratically. The patient was fairly calm during the procedure, but his eyes were darting all over the place. They opened and closed, rhythmically. Sometimes his eyes rolled upwards, showing only their whites. Carrie shuddered at the sight, but continued the work. After finishing, she administered the patient 1 milligram of activated charcoal in order to neutralize the poison still in the man's system. His pupils are dilated, likely slipping in and out of consciousness, he said to Dr. Newman. I can't smell any alcohol in his breath. He's also soaked in sweat, probably dehydrated too. Alright, we'll give him some fluids. Venture nervously. How's his pulse? He checked his pulse and noticed that it was fast. His sunken cheeks resembled wet sandpaper. He looked like a tarnished mannequin in a long abandoned ship. The patient's eyes stopped moving. His breathing became shallow, more frequent. His sunken eyes kept focusing on something. The stare was distant, however. The man was watching something that was not here. but somewhere else. Nurse Holloway turned to walk away. He needed something from the table nearby. The mysterious man grabbed her forearm, and she gasped in surprise. Dr. Newman saw her eyes open wide as she turned back to face the patient. "Please, don't let me die here. Please," he pleaded with desperation. Sir, please calm down. Everything will be alright." If I die here," he began again. "If I die here, it will cross over. So much pain in this place." Carrie looked at David. The doctor looked just as surprised. Nothing of what the man said made any sense, but still, it made both of them nervous. "Don't worry, sir. Everything will be okay. We will take care of you." "No, you don't understand. Please, sir. Please, calm down," said Dr. Newman, and moved to hold him down. "Let me out. Come, let me out before it's too late." They were both impressed by the strength of the seemingly frail man. "Sedate him, Carrie. Do it now." Carrie rushed for the sedative and a syringe. The patient became more and more violent. David had a hard time holding him down. After a few seconds, the nurse injected him with a sedative, which acted quickly. The man fell asleep while mumbling incoherent words. "Put him down somewhere close. Also, tell Norman to keep an eye on the monitors. If anything happens, we have to know. Hopefully, by morning, it will be more reasonable." Nurse Holloway searched for a room which was empty and could accommodate one person only. There was plenty of free beds in the common rooms, but she didn't want to take any chances with the deranged man. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the end of